BLOKEES have blasted into the superhero market with their Champion Series Marvel Heroes collection. So lay back and watch me snap together some of your favorite characters. Hey y'all, welcome back to Carbon Scoring, the best place for comics, history, and action figures. I've gotten my hands on the first 5 figures from BLOKEE's Marvel Heroes Champions class, 3 from the Infinity Saga, and the stars of 2024's best family movie, Deadpool Wolverine. Let's go.
So the first set we're going to look at is the Infinity Saga Champion Class Iron Man, and this is the Mark 50, 60, 70, 85 Iron Man. Love this box. Of course, it comes in a completely sealed box like you would expect with any kind of model kit. Great art with shiny kind of chromium finish here. You get to see kind of putting the model together. You get to see all the parts on the sprue, the different accessories that come with it. Just really, really good stuff. So, hey, let's open it up, put this thing together. Okay, so I've got the Iron Man right here, all fully completed and built. Now, full disclosure, I actually built Iron Man last. He was the 5th of the 5 BLOKEES that we're going to look at today, and I'm kind of glad that I did because he was definitely the most difficult, the most challenging. He had the most parts out of anybody. As you could see, BLOKEES are a completely snapped together model kit, and they form these unbelievably highly articulated action figures. I mean, look at the level of bend that you get with these things, and you don't need any kind of glue. You don't need any kind of special tools. Now, a lot of people, particularly people who have built Gundam model kits before, will use nippers. They will use these little devices to kind of clip the separate pieces out from the sprues for a cleaner cut. I have honestly never had any trouble with getting the pieces out cleanly. The only thing I can say is because this Iron Man uses this like metallic paint, you can see how much shinier the red and the gold are on this. That there were maybe a couple of times, like maybe right there, you can see where that sprue, where it came off of the sprue, that perhaps we should have used some nippers for that. A couple of places maybe where, okay, right here, see where it was connected to the sprue and there's a little bit of paint loss. I'm not sure if nippers would have prevented that or not, but if you were going to use nippers for any of them, it would be on this metallic one. The other ones, you truly don't need it. And this one took me probably 30 minutes to put together all told. Once I got the hang of it with the others, they were only about 20 minutes. So that's the kind of time frame that you can expect on these. But part of the beauty of that is you really get to spend more time with the figure itself. You know, so many times with imports or with Marvel Legends, I rip them out of the package, I play with them, I get them, into a pose, and that's kind of it. So the fact that you actually spend time with these, I think you pick up on the detail a lot more because of that. Iron Man also is the only one that has electronic features, and you're supposed to just be able to shake it. Whoops, there it is. If you give it a shake, you can see that the chest symbol and the eyes light up. It's not super bright, so it's not like it really kind of stands out in your display, but it is there. The lights, the eyes do light up. You can see that blue light is shining through. Really cool translucent pieces everywhere. It's a really good toy. You can actually articulate the different parts of the nanotech suit. And out of all the Iron Man armors that we saw in the movies, I believe this is Mark 85. This was probably my favorite. I loved the way the gold and the red really went together. There were still some silver touches in there. And then these nanotech parts, even though I didn't really find that was comic accurate, I just thought they were cool. I thought it made for just a really cool looking figure. So what we're going to do, we're going to get this guy up in the spinner. We're going to take a look at him in some pretty cool poses, and then we'll bring him back down and look at a few more of his accessories. So, like I said, Iron Man came with some of the coolest stuff. And these accessories, they just pop in and out really easily. He has alternate hands that you can put on. You can use the different blast effects both as repulsors or as jet boost. There's a special ball joint here. So, this shield, really, you can get it into any number of really cool positions. And I love the translucent look of that. It's just really, really cool. And of course, it matches the blue of the light up of his eyes, this kind of, sort of knife type accessory, and none of it really interferes with the really incredible articulation on this thing. So Iron Man is definitely a highlight. The fact that he's a guy in a suit of armor allows them to really kind of dig deep into the movie look. We're going to see as we move through the rest of these that some of them are a little more stylized than this, but it's hard to go wrong with starting out with a figure as good as this Iron Man. One other huge bonus with the Iron Man figure, it's the only one that comes with a flight stand, and I am loving this BLOKEES flight stand. You can see it's like got the BLOKEES logo on there. These joints are pretty tight. I had no problem holding the figures up. I really like this snap mechanism. It is super tight and fits right around the waist of the figures. And because it's small and tight, it really doesn't show up very much in your photography or in your videos. I'm going to have to look on the BLOKEES site to see if they sell these individually, because I would actually buy more of these. Next up for the big three is none other than Captain America. And you can see this is the endgame Captain America because he has his shield and Mjolnir. And look at him commanding the thunder and the lightning on this chromium box. Such a cool look, great designs. Again, you get all the stuff on the sprues, the different accessories. Time to pop this thing together. Cap comes next, and unfortunately, Cap is probably my least favorite out of these, which is a real shame because I absolutely love Captain America. And that scene in Endgame where he picked up Mjolnir and went one-on-one with Thanos is one of the greatest movie moments ever. Now, you get a really nicely done Mjolnir, but Cap's shield just seems a little small. Like, can y'all see that? Don't you think that that looks like it's a little bit small for the shield? It does clip really nicely on his wrist, which is extremely nice. And you can obviously pivot it around in some different positions. The head, I like the fact that the mask is a separate piece from the actual skin tone. So there's like some depth to the eye pieces. It gives like some shading in there. But it really would have been better if there was a little bit of, paint wash or something on the face to kind of bring out, some of those details there. He has all of that phenomenal BLOKEES articulation. And one thing about this articulation is it's really, really the movement is really good. Like, it holds its position really well. There are no loose joints here. Now, they're not stuck. They're never stuck or stiff, but they just move and hold really well. So, you can have his arms up, you can have his arms out, and they're not going to go anywhere. They're going to stay in position. And that includes, the joints across the diaphragm and at the waist. And you get great turn here. So you can get, I wish his head would go back a little farther, but you can get really, really good waist turn, which is awesome for some of these types of poses. Now, one of the things I like about the shield is he has kind of the straps here, but just with a simple move like that, you can take off his shield, and he comes with an attachment that pegs right in like that, and then pegs right into the back. So if you want to have him with his shield on his back and just kind of raising, of course, it helps if you don't have big, stupid fingers. If you want to have him with his shield on his back and raising up Mjolnir, that works perfectly. So super cool figure. Even though it's my least favorite, I feel like it's maybe a little bit dark. It's still really good. Let's see what kind of poses we can get this guy into. And rounding out the big three of the Avengers, none other than the God of Thunder, Thor. Really love the look of some of these accessories that he comes with. Just the power crackling off of him. Of course, again, in game, so he has Stormbreaker. Really sweet. Let's go. And here we are with everybody's favorite Asgardian, the mighty Thor. Now, much like Cap, he has a bit of an in-game vibe going on here. Obviously, the Stormbreaker certainly sets that off, but it's also maybe a little bit of a post in-game kind of Thor because he is back to being fit. His beard is trimmed. He's got, kind of the shorter hair. So I don't know exactly where he necessarily fits in the MCU time frame. And that brings up actually a really good point, which is the unique look of these figures. So, spoiler alert, we're going to do some size comparisons with these, and they don't fit in with Marvel Legends. So, this figure is never going to go into your 6-inch Marvel Legends display. These are their own thing. And because of that, I think they can get away with taking a little bit of liberties, particularly with this head. If you look at this is a very kind of anime manga type of head, the way you've got the spiky hair and kind of the bigger eyes. You do have Thor's scar, and thankfully you get some paint apps on this face, which I think really help it be distinguished from what we saw with Captain America. Now, Thor actually has some additional accessory pieces that we're going to see as we get into some of his action stances. So, why don't we go ahead and do just exactly that? Yeah, now we're talking. Thor's accessories really do give him kind of the most significant difference in his alternative look. You take the circle pieces out of his chest armor and replace them with these lightning bolts. You have lightning bolts that strap onto his wrist, and one that actually really nicely fits right around his back. It just kind of clips right onto his waist. Really, really cool. The one thing that doesn't work quite as well is this piece that goes on Stormbreaker is a little bit loose. It doesn't really kind of click into place. I wish that it fit a little bit tighter. You can see even just, moving it around, it's a little bit wobbly, but you also get the alternate head with the lit up eyes, the scar going across his eye, the open mouth. Ooh, it just really completes the look. So for the action version of Thor, with kind of the, almost like the anime explosion, almost like the Dragon Ball Z kind of energy of this guy with these lit up eyes and the crazy hair. I just really love the dynamics of this figure. If you are using nippers or any other kind of sharp instrument to work on these, try not to be an idiot like I am and jab a knife directly into your finger and then have to deal with it bleeding all day long. Not a good move. But you know what is a good move? Subscribing to Carbon Scoring, because we are bringing you content like this every week. Blood or no blood. Now let's switch over to Deadpool Wolverine with everybody's favorite Berserker Canuck. Again, you've got that shiny material on the box, but look at how it reflects off of Wolvie's claws. Just a really nice touch of using that metallic right there. Same stuff as far as it goes all the way around. Just really good looking packaging on these. So even though this is clearly a Deadpool and Wolverine version of Wolvie, I like the fact that they brought in some of the comic look to do this, particularly the sleeveless arms and the shoulder pads right here. I think those really do bring out a really, really nice comic look. I'm also glad that they went with the full face mask, and they gave us two different versions of the head. You have this one that has kind of the angry head, or you can switch it out with more of a flatter mouth as well. And we'll see that in just a moment. Of course, these are models, so the parts can just come popping right off. Something that I really like is the shine on these claws and the fact that they've got a little bit of a curve to them. Again, it gives it a little more of that kind of manga anime flair to have those slightly curved claws instead of the pretty straightforward ones from both the movies and American comics. He's really good scale. He's nice and squat, powerful. Really great posing here. You can see super bend. You got your articulated toes that really give you like some 90-degree bend at the toe. That's absolutely amazing. You got good crunch with sort of the double diaphragm waist balls. But again, it's Wolverine, man, so it really does come down to how great these claws are. All right, that's enough talk. Let's see what this guy can do. And finally, we break out everybody's favorite merc with a mouth, none other than Deadpool. Sweet package, but nobody cares about the box. Let's play with the toy. The merc with a mouth is coming at you with all the personality that you can stand. And once again, much like the Iron Man figure, I really like this fully masked version because, it takes away from some of the anime styling. So you could use this guy as a Deadpool in some other display because he really does work well with that, with the full mask. You get two different masks. This one has slightly more open eyes than the other one. It's honestly hard to tell the difference. They are not very different. Unlike that metallic, shiny red on Iron Man, this is just a really classic red that pops nicely off the black, and the yellow highlights do a nice job here as well. He has a gun and a knife attached to his right leg. These are not removable. Those are like stuck in place. That's just one continuous piece. But his two swords do slide very easily in and out of his backpack. And he also has an extra blade, but there's not a place to hold it. So it's just an accessory. Again, super cool articulation. Deadpool can get into all of his Spidey poses so that he can, look up to his hero and try to be as cool as the wall crawler, even though we know he's not. But let's also see just exactly what this guy can do. We've taken a pretty good look at these figures, and we've seen what they're able to do, some of the great poses they can get into, some of the great action on that flight stand. But now comes really the moment of truth. Let's rack these things up against a couple of Marvel Legends and see exactly how they measure up scale-wise. Okay, so I thought the easiest comparison would be to go with the Marvel Legends, Deadpool and Wolverine, with our new Deadpool and Wolverine. And clearly, the most obvious difference is in the scale, in the height. So Wolvie and Deadpool are probably right at 6 inches, whereas these are more like 4.8, 5 inches. But there's also some significant differences in proportions. These movie figures, these MCU figures, are incredibly accurate to their screen representations. They're much more human in their proportions. They don't look like they do look like costume superheroes, but they don't look like comic book overblown Rob Liefeld giant Jack Kirby people. They look like dudes who are actually wearing a costume. Whereas you can see with The blockies, they have much more of that heroic proportion, which is just kind of fun because they're obviously more toys. You can see much more of the joints, you can see the articulation, whereas that's much more hidden with our Legends figures, but they're meant to be played with. They're meant to be, fiddled with in your hand. These are great figures for your desk because they get into so many dynamic poses. They're really not going to replace Marvel Legends, and that's okay. They are their own thing, and they're super, super fun. And the fact that you have an experience building them only adds to that fun. So I think there's a place for all of these in our collection. And as Blockies has announced some figures based on the Marvel Rivals video game, hopefully we'll be able to see those here in the States and get a hold of those as well. Now, I do have a link to how you can buy these from Blockies in the description, so please check that out while you're taking a look.
That Blockies link is not an affiliate link, so I don't get any kickback if you decide to buy one or all of these. I just think they're really cool, and the build process creates a new way for you to interact with your toys. So if you're interested in them, check it out. And if you found this video helpful, throw it a like, and let me know if you want to see more like this. And as always, for the best in comics history and action figures, subscribe to Carbon Scoring.